Hey everybody, it's Rami Marks here, Tangled Yogi here out in Northern California. And today we're going to work on this beautiful composition that I was inspired by when I found this really beautiful Italian tile. And it just spoke to me, so I thought I would do my own version of it. And so here we are. Things you are going to need for class: you are going to need a Micron PN. And you are going to need to have a pencil with no eraser because there are no mistakes in Zentangle. You will also need to have a Micron brush pen or a good puddling pen. The other pen that I like for puddling is the Faber-Castell Pitt pen. That's a pretty great pen right there in the black. Another great pen for puddling is the Tombow dual brush pen or the Koi watercolor brush pen. Those are great pens for puddling since we're going to be doing a lot of black in here. The other thing that you will need for class is you'll need to have a good tile. You could use the Tangled Yogi Genesis tile. This is my favorite tile because it's great for coloring on. The surface is really smooth and just receives color really well. If you don't have one of the Tangled Yogi tiles, you can always use the Apprentice tile by Zentangle. They have a really nice one as well. Okay, so here we go. If you have never taken class with me before, you will learn that I like to do a little bit of centering before we get started. So let's take a minute to get centered. So take a comfortable seated position in a way that makes your body feel at ease. Let yourself sit back into your chair, letting your back body rest against the chair. Feel your feet making connection with the floor here, and allow the spine to grow comfortably tall. Allow yourself to be relaxed and at ease in the moment. Shoulders melting away from the ears, chest opening, belly softening, feeling your hips connecting with the seat. Feeling your thighs and your calves let go. Relaxing through the ankles, the top of the feet, the toes. Feeling the entire body be at ease in this moment. And let's take a moment to drop into the breath here. Taking a minute to notice your breath as you breathe in. And you breathe out, noticing the quality of your breath, if the breath is full, or maybe it's short and jagged. So without judging, just acknowledging how it is right now. And let's begin to shape the breath here. Breathing in through the nose, and out through the mouth. In through the nose, and out through the mouth. And one more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let's shape the breath just a little bit more here. Breathing in, feeling the rib cage as it expands with the breath, feeling it all the way up. And then exhaling through the mouth with a gentle sigh. Inhaling, feeling the rib cage as it expands. Exhaling, feeling the breath as it releases. And one more time, inhale, filling through the rib cage, nice deep breath. And exhaling, feeling the release. And then letting your breath return back to its natural pace and noticing if the breath is a little bit more full. Noticing if the body is a little bit more relaxed just by breathing. So I'd like to share a quote with you that I found the other day, and I thought it was really beautiful. And the quote goes like this: "Art is something that makes you breathe with a different kind of happiness." And this is Ani Alber's I just thought that was such a beautiful quote. So taking a moment to acknowledge that art does make us breathe in a different kind of way. And it helps us to be in the present moment while we're doing it, not letting the mind get consumed in any other way, but just being right here and right now. Let's take one more deep breath right here. Let it go with a sigh. And beginning to wiggle through the fingertips and wiggle through the toes. Gently blinking the eyes open. And let's get ready to tangle. Okay, so let's begin. You can see that I had an opportunity to do this tangle a few different ways, and I really did enjoy both ways that we did it. So I want to just show you that, you can use the same tangle over and over again and try it with different colors, and it's never the same tangle twice. It's always different. So I want to encourage you to come back again and again and try these tangles with different colors or just doing them in black and white, but visit them often so that you can experiment and feel like you can get really loose with it. That's what I like to do. And so when I'm teaching my classes, every time it's really a nice experiment. So that's my beginning thought for class today. So we're going to take these guys away here, and we are going to start with our tile, and I'm going to make this nice and large so that you can see what I'm up to here. So I have my Genesis tile here, and these are at tangledyogi.com. If you are interested in picking them up, you can go there and go to the Tangled Yogi shop, and they are there for you. So let's go ahead and start by doing the regular old-fashioned Zentangle thing and put a dot in each corner here. So you can see that I've got a dot in each corner. And I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to start to connect my dots. And you can see that my pencil line is going to be very, very faint, because if I end up breaking my border, I don't want to have to worry about having the pencil line turn into a pen line later. I can always work around it with the pencil. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn my tile. I want to be a nice successful tangler and make it easy for my hand here. So once you've had an opportunity to connect your dots here, what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the top and we're going to put a dot right in the middle of that top portion, and we'll put a dot right in the middle of the bottom portion. I'll turn my tile and I'll do the same exact thing again. So I'm going to put my dot right at the top and right at the bottom. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm very, very faintly going to make a line going down the center, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing right here. This is going to be my guideline. This is going to let me know how to divide the space and work. So in Zentangle we call this a string. So once you have that and you're all set and ready to rock, we're going to work a little bit more with our string here. So I'm going to go from this point right here to this point right here, and I want to be mindful to intersect in the middle. So you can see that I'm really being careful with my line here, and I just connected through the middle, and now I'm going to go ahead and go out the other side. I'll come up in here and I'll go ahead and intersect through the middle. And there is our full string. So once we have our full string, if you need to pause me here, this is a really great place to pause. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and keep on moving through. So you can see that I'm right here in the center, and I'm just going to come out about, I'm going to say, 1/2 inch, and I want to make a circle that's going to be a little bit smaller than a nickel. So I'd say maybe it's the size of a penny. I'm just going around and just barely making that circle so that I've got a basic idea of it. Now, if you're super picky and you want to have a penny handy, you are welcome to have a penny handy. I thought maybe I might have one, but you could always use a penny and put it in the middle and trace around it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to aura around it. Now you might say to yourself, well, hey, you know, why aren't you switching over into pen? I'm just letting myself build this string just a little bit more in pencil. So there you have it. That is the string. So I'm going to grab my pen and I'm going to do something that I call an overdraw. And the overdraw just means that I'm going to go in and make my circle with ink. So you can see that I'm giving myself the opportunity to take my time, going all the way around, and it may not be perfect, and it's okay. It's just a Zentangle, it doesn't matter. So once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura all the way around that pen, turning my tile to make it easy for myself here. And there's my circle. So once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a little bit of maybe what we would consider a crescent moon on the inside. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to blow this up so that you can see it. And if you need to pause me at any time, you're totally welcome to. I'm just going to come in here and you'll see that I'm just making little crescent moons and they're attached to each other. Just like so. Going around and around and around. And if you need to move your tile to make it easy for yourself, you can do that too. And there you have it. So now we have that nice little circle all ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this out just a little bit so that we have a little bit more space here. So now I'm going to come away from the center here and I'm going to start to work with those lines that we have. So you can see I'm right here and I'm going to go ahead and come up about a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Let's say it's 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. So you can see I just made a little dot there. So I'm going to come away about 3/4 of an inch and make a dot, go around 3/4 of an inch, make a dot, going around. And you'll start to see a little pattern developing here. Okay, so you can see that there's this nice little, like a little dot circle around my inner circle there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to make little arcs going around. So you'll see, watch, I'm going to start from this point and I'm just going to arc and join, arc and join. So all I'm doing is just arcing and joining, arcing and joining, and you can see that I'm just turning my tile and relaxing as I go, turning that tile, and here comes the last one right there. So now we're right back to center again. So we have this kind of neat little star shape that happened around the inner circle, which I absolutely love. So now we're going to begin to grow the piece. And if you need to pause me, this is a great place to pause me so that you can catch up. Okay, so we're going to start to grow the piece a little bit. And if you know me, you know that tipple is one of my favorite tangles to do. And tipple, if you've never done it before, it's just a circle. And usually it's in a cluster of circles. So you have, one large, one medium, and one small. But in this instance, we're going to be using tipple singularly. Some people would refer to it as a pearl. You could use it that way as well if you like. So you can see that I have these diagonal lines that intersect through the piece, and that's where we're going to put the tipples. So I want you to think, I'm working on the diagonal. I'm not working on the vertical, and I'm not working on the horizontal. I'm working on the diagonal. Now I want you to think of the size of a pea. That's how big our tipples are going to be. So I'm right here at this part in particular, and let's make this a little bit larger. And so I'm going to make a circle about the size of a pea. Just like so. Now I'm going to come to the next diagonal line, right? Because we're working with the diagonal. There we are. I'm going to go up here because here's the diagonal that I want to work on. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn my tile to make it easy for myself, because it's much easier if you move your tile around. So I'm just going to go right back to where I started. Right here. Putting a pea-sized tipple right there, and another pea-sized tipple right there. And you can see they vary a little bit in size, and I'm not worried about it. Neither should you be, because by the time we end up with this, it's really going to be so much fun. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and make a couple of movements towards the outer edges here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that diagonal line here, and I'm going to come about, I'm going to say a good solid inch away from this tipple right here. And you can see I've made a little bit of a line. Or a little bit of a dot, sorry about that. So once I've made that little dot on my diagonal line, I'm also going to do another pea-sized tipple right there. And then I'm going to go over to this area right here. I'm going to go about an inch away from that tipple, make a little dot, and make another tipple. Turning my tile to make it easy for myself here. Still working on the diagonal, coming out about an inch, make that dot, and then go ahead and make that tipple. Coming out about an inch, make that dot, and then make your tipple. So there you have it. If you need to take a moment and catch up with us, this is a great place to pause me. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on rolling. Okay, so I have all my tipple ready to rock and roll, and I'm going to start to connect them now, but I'm going to connect them from the outside. So here I am right here, and all I'm going to do is just come right down and let those two join. And then I'm just going to go right over here, come down, and let those two join. Turning my tile to make it easy for my hand here, coming right over here, let them join. Right here, let them join. Turning the tile. Here we go. 1 and 2. One more time right here. Do it with spirit, why don't we? 1 and 2. Okay, so now we have those pieces. If you need to pause me here, this is a great spot. Otherwise, we're going to keep on going. Okay, so we're going to continue on now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down from the top point right here. So can everybody see where I am? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this point right here, and I'm going to let it connect towards this tipple right here, and I'll show you what I mean. So you remember those arcs that we did? We're going to go ahead and we're going to do an arc, but it's going to come right over here. Now we're not going to touch that tipple. We're going to stop about 1/4 of an inch away, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to make this nice and large so that you can really see what I'm up to here. So here's my pen right here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to arc, and I'll even put the dot there just so I know I'm going to land right there. And you can see I'm about 1/4 of an inch away from that tipple. So here I go. I'm making my arc, and I landed on that dot. I'm going to turn my tile, and I'm going to do the exact same thing again. So here I am. I'm going to make a little dot right next to this tipple. I'm going to come up right here, and I'm going to arc. Turning my tile, coming right here, making that little dot, do the arc, coming right here, turning the tile. Here we go, making the little dot right outside, and once again, there it is. Turning the tile back to center here so you can see that we've got the beginnings of the arc that's going to be happening all the way around the piece here, which is really interesting to me. Now we're going to go to the other side, so I'm just making a dot right outside. This is the upper tipple that we're working with here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to arc, and I hit. Turning my tile, coming right here, make the little dot, and arc. Turning my tile, make a little dot, and arc. One more time right here, make the dot, and arc. If you need to pause, this is a great place to do it, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see that we're ready to move on here. I'm just going to turn my tile so that it's on the diamond here. And you can see that I'm going to start to work up in this corner. So let me make this just a touch bigger. So once I have that, you can see that my lines are not touching here. There's a little space between them. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little dot right above my tipple here. And then I'm going to do poke leaf. Now poke leaf generally is done like that. So poke leaf. However, we don't have a stem that we're going to be working with, so we're going to be doing this a little bit differently. So let's get that dot right where it was. So you can see I've got my dot really, really nice and close to where tipple is, and just watch me here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out and then connect, and then I'm going to reach out and connect, so we have the top of our poke leaf, just like so. So I'm going to turn the tile clockwise. Once I have that, just coming up 1/4 of an inch above the tipple and making our poke leaf shape. Going around, make a dot about 1/4 of an inch up, make that poke leaf shape. Turning the tile, make the dot about 1/4 of an inch and connect. Easy peasy, right? So take a moment to breathe, relax, enjoy what you're doing, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so let's continue on. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to start to work now with our horizontal and vertical points. So you can see I've got these guys here and these guys right here. So what I want to do is I want to use a little bit of muka. And if you haven't done muka before, this is a really nice early tangle to work with. So I believe that muka is spelled like that, and I believe it's one of Rick and Maria's. So let's go ahead and bring that into the center here. So I'm just going to start by doing a nice arc, and I want you to think of somewhat of a heart shape when you're doing this. So you can see I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to arc. I'm going to come out and then watch. I'm going to go ahead and make a little cut inside, and then I'm just going to drop right back down again. So that's muka. I'll go ahead and I'll do it on the other side here. So I'm going to jump out, make the other side of the heart, cut in, and right back to center, just like so. Let's do it again. I'm going to turn the tile. So now I'm working with the vertical here. I'm going to go ahead and come up and out like a heart-like shape, cut in, and drop back into the center like so. Once again, heart-like shape, come around, and cut in. Turning the tile, just like so. One side of the heart, cut in, and back to center. And one more time. Cut in, back to center. Last one right here. You can see it's already starting to develop such a fun shape. Coming out, coming right back in, and here we go. Last time, let's do it with feeling. and right back in again. So there you have that really neat shape that's going all the way around that inner circle there. Really kind of accentuates that nice shape that's in the center. So if you need to pause me, this is a great place to pause me. Otherwise, we're going to keep on rolling. All right, so we're going to continue to build here. I'm going to turn this on the diagonal so that you can really see what's going on here. So you can see that one of my tipple is up at the top here, and then we've got these guys on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that I saw. This was a pattern that I love. It's called Leaf Go, and it's by Karen Frank. Hi, Karen. Thank you for the great tangle. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it around the tipple here. So all I'm going to do is build out doing a flux. So you can see that I'm right here on the side of the tipple, and I'm just going to go ahead and come out, make that flux, and come right back in again. You can see how I did that. And then I'm just going to drop down and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'll come over here and I'll drop back in again, and I'll do it again one more time, so that it almost looks like it's sitting on top of the flux. Now there's another one that I saw that I think it was called Hold Gem, but I'm not really sure who did that. So I'm just going to go with this is Leaf Go by Karen Frank. So here we go. I'm going to come around to this next one right here, and I'm just going to make that flux. I'm going to arch off and then drop right in again, right underneath that tipple. Can you see how I did that? I'm going to do it one more time, coming up and under, and I'll do the same thing right over here, and one more right here. I'm going to turn the tile and do it again, so I'm looking for that next flux, coming right in, do another one right underneath it, and right here, coming back to center, and one more time, back to center. Turning the tile. Here we go. We're going to reach up and out and hit, reach back, reconnect, coming back out and touch, and one more time reconnecting, and there you have it. So take a moment, finish these up, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start to work now up into the corners here, and you can see that the reason why I've left the border in pencil is because I know that I'm going to have to use my whole page. You know, every time I do this tangle, it's always a little bit different. And so for this one, I'm going to need to use my corners a little bit more. So I'm actually going to jump my border. So I'm going to come out and make a dot that's really, really nice and out into the border there. And I'm going to go ahead and make a leaf-like shape, and I'm mimicking the poke leaf that's right here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to come out, and then I'm going to let it drop right into the center there. You can see that I'm pretty close to center. And then I'm going to come right over here, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm dropping in pretty close to center. So you can see there is my leaf. Now I have enough room around the outside of it that I can do a really nice tight aura all the way around, just like so. And then I'll go ahead and I'll do the same thing on the other side, getting right in there. I'm going to turn my tile, and I'm going to do the same thing all over again. I'm going to make my dot nice and deep into that corner right there. I'm mimicking that poke leaf right here. All I'm doing is coming out, and I'm getting nice and close to the center on this line right here. Same thing over here. I'll come up, put a little dot, and I'm just going to do a nice tight aura. Now, if you don't have room on the outside, you can always aura on the inside, because these leaves will probably be big enough that you can do so. Turning my tile, let's do it again. Here I go, putting my point right out there, going ahead and coming right in, mimicking that poke leaf, coming right back in, mimicking that poke leaf once again. Notice how I'm close to the center on either line, And then once again, I'm going to do that nice tight aura around the outside. And another nice tight aura right around the outside. Turning the tile. Here we go. Make a dot. And go ahead and come in and hit. And one more time, coming over here and hit. Now you can see that I'm a little bit too close to that corner, right? So now I'm going to aura on the inside because I didn't leave myself enough room. Remember, there are no mistakes, only opportunities. So it's not what happens to you in this life, it's what you make of it, yeah? So here we go. Figuring out a way to move through it. And there you have it. There's our leaves that are on the outside. Just like so. If you need to pause me, go ahead and pause me right here. This is a good spot. Notice if you've been holding your breath as you've been doing the movements, and see if you can bring your breath back into it here. Also, allow yourself to have a little smile on your face as you're working. Sometimes we have a tendency to get very serious and furrow our brows and pierce through the lips and just look like we're kind of irritated. See if you add a little bit of a smile to the sides of your face, if the rest of your body starts to relax. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start to work on the inside of our flower right here, or our petal rather. And what we're going to do is something that looks a little bit like henna drum, but not completely. I would say they're probably related. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a dot right here at the top of my leaf there. And I'm going to go ahead and make a slight triangle just like so. Once I have that slight triangle, I'm going to make a little V-like shape where the arms are kind of arcing out. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in right where the edge of those are, and I'm just going to arc back in again. You can see that's got a nice bowing line to it, and I'm going to do the same thing right over here. Then I'm going to go ahead and take a line and go all the way up towards the top, but pause before I get there, and I'm just going to do 2 small lines on either side, just like so. I'm going to build off of this now. I'm going to use this line right here as my arcing line, right? Or my aura line. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make a line that's very similar. And then I'm going to create a little wave. And then I'm going to arc right back in again. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm coming in, making that arc, and then dropping back in. Now I'm going to add a little bit of that detailing in. 1 and 2, and then I'll do it again, 1 and 2, just like so. I'm going to add a couple of more of those leaves. So here we go, arcing out, making a wavy line, and arcing back in again. Do the same thing on the opposite side, arcing out, make your wavy line, and come back in again. Now you can see that I have these 2 spaces right down here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a teardrop shape just right at the bottom here. These are going to be their own leaves. So now I'm going to come back up, make another detail right inside of those leaves, make sure that line's a little bit longer, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now on these leaves here at the bottom, I'm going to leave them alone. Now if you want to add a detail to them, you're more than welcome to. Let's do another one here. Now you can see that I had an opportunity to start on the other side here, but I neglected to turn my camera, so I had to reshoot the shot. So here we go. So we're right here up at the top, making our dot, and I'm going to go ahead and make the triangle right there. Once I've made the triangle, I'm going to turn and get those little arcs to come out. Once the arcs are out, I'm going to dive back in again. So it almost looks like a W, you know, right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my detailing. And then we're going to just build off the side. So here we go, right here, coming up and out, make a wavy line, and then arc right back in again. See, there's that arc. Coming over here, doing the same thing, wavy line, and arc back in. Come on over, make another one, wavy line in, and then arc out, wavy line, come back in. Let's add our detailing. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we have those nice spaces right down in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make my teardrop shape right there, and another teardrop shape right here, and then I'm going to leave those leaves alone. Go ahead and do the other two on your own, and I'll see you in a minute. Take a time to breathe and relax. Okay, so here we are, and we've had a chance to go all the way around into all of the leaves, and it's really getting fun. I'm really enjoying it. So now we're going to start to work a little bit more on the interior, since we've been working with the exterior quite a bit. So I'm going to come right back into where our little arc was, and I'm going to do an aura in there. So here we go. I'm going to come out, and you can see it's a nice tight aura, and then watch, I'm just going to rejoin right at the edge of it there. I'm going to do the same thing to the opposite side, coming out and rejoining right at the edge. I'm going to turn my tile, and I'm going to do the same thing all over again. So I'm going to go out and rejoin. And then I'm going to go out and rejoin. Turning my tile, going out, rejoining, and coming out and rejoining. Turning the tile, last set right here, 1, reconnecting right there, and here we go again, 2, just like so. So we've gone all the way around. If you need to pause for a moment, here's a great place to pause, otherwise we're going to keep on rolling. So you'll notice that I have a space right in here in which to work in. So I'm going to make a little dot right here, right up at the top. I'm going to make this nice and big so that you can really see what I'm up to. Once I have that dot, I'm going to use it as my guideline. I'm using this as my aura line, my outline. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use that aura line, and then watch, I'm going to come out and I'm going to rejoin with that muka. You can see how that line just topped right off at the head of the muka there. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come out and right back into the muka. So it just looks like poke leaf again, which is really fun. Now in the center of our poke leaf, we're going to do a teardrop shape, and I'm going to use the top of the leaf to help me here. So all I'm going to do is make a little teardrop shape and rejoin towards the center. It almost looks like a leaf-like shape, yeah? Right there in the center. Now, as I carry on here, all I'm doing is an aura line. It's really simple. So all I'm doing is using this line as my aura line. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like so. Coming over to the opposite side one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go ahead and try this whole thing again. All right, so here we go. Making my dot, coming out, reconnecting to the muka, and then I'm going over to the opposite side, reconnecting to the muka. Here I am. I'm going to come right into the center, make that nice leaf-like shape, and reconnect to the center, just like so. Last one right here, making those little aura lines. And I'm going to go right over here and do that last one. That one felt a little bit better to me. Did it feel better to you? All right, here we go. One more time. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it go. All right, so here we go. Making my dot, coming out, reconnecting to the muca, and then I'm going over to the opposite side, reconnecting to the muca. Here I am. I'm going to come right into the center, make that nice leaf-like shape, and reconnect to the center, just like so. Last one right here, making those little aura lines. And I'm going to go right over here and do that last one. All right, so here I go, making my dot. And then I'm going to go ahead and make that leaf-like shape right out here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing right over here. And then coming back into the center, making that nice bay leaf shape. Here we go. We're going to aura. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see now, as I start to pull back on the focus, what a great shape has entered into the piece here. I really think this is a lot of fun. So go ahead and finish those up. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to start to work a little bit more here. And what I want to start to work on is the outside border here. Now you notice that I never actually made a border on this piece, and we used the pencil as a guideline, but that was it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work right in here. Actually, for my right-handed people, I'm going to do it on the right side since there's way more of you than there are of us in the left-handed world. So here we go. I'm going to go right over here. So you can see I'm right over here on the right-hand side. All I'm going to do is I'm going to start from where that little guideline is. You can see on mine, there's my pencil line. It's ever so faint, but it is right there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very, very shallow half moon, or almost like a Bales, like the beginning of Bales. And then I'm going to do an aura of that right there. And then I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to now fill in that pencil line. So just watch me here. I'm just going to go right there and connect. So let's do it one more time here. You can see there's the pencil line right there. And if you can't see it, let's just trust that it's there, okay? And so I'm just going to do a very shallow crescent moon, or the beginning of Bales, one of my favorite tangles. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that again, just like so. So pretty easy peasy. Let's do it again. I'm going to turn my tile, and I'm going to come right in over here. So here I am, right where that pencil line is. Make that nice shallow line. One more right there. And then I'm filling it in, just like so. One more time, right here. Give it an aura, and then come right back in again. So that when I start to pull away, you can see now that it's created this really nice border right on the outside. I love it. I think this is really fun. So I'm going to go up here and finish these last two. You go around and finish those, and I'll see you in a minute. Remember, a little bit of a smile on your face, okay? Relaxes the whole body, changes your demeanor. See you soon. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around, and I, your teacher, have found myself with an oopsortunity. And an oopsortunity is a detour to a very magical place. We're just going to do something a little bit different. So in my original piece here, you can see that I had put a couple of hats on my little tipple here, but I neglected to do that in this one. And so what I think we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of baby cruffles in there. So I'm going to go ahead and find the biggest circle I can work with, which is right there, I think. And I'm just going to blow this bad boy up, and we are going to put a little cruffle in it. Now, if you don't have enough room in that tipple, that's just fine. Don't worry about it. It's not going to change the entire piece here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come inside of this circle right here, and I'm going to do something called a lazy S. So I'm just going to go in and just do a lazy S, just like so. And then what I'll do is I'll come in on that side, and I will go ahead and I will do a little aura on that side. And there is my cruffle. Now, generally when cruffle is done, they aura on both sides, but I really love to use cruffle in the way of I love to just have one side done. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you this one more time. So here we go. I'm inside of the leaf. You can see that I'm right in here. This is the tipple that I'm going to work with. And I'm just going to do a lazy S like so. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura inside of it. And there's my cruffle. Let's try one more time. Here we are. There's the circle. And lazy S. Go ahead and aura the inside. And you're good to go. Last one. I kind of like this. Maybe this is a great opportunity. Maybe I'm never going to do it the same way again. You never know. It's always fun to change things up. So I'm just going to take a moment to bring this out here, and you can see that that detailing has really changed those little tipple out there, and I'm very happy about that. So there you caught me with an opportunity. It happens to everybody. All right, take a moment to have a nice deep breath and relax and go around and finish up those tipple. So going only to the outside ones. I'm not doing the inside ones. I'm going to just leave it for the outside. All right. If you want to do it for the inside ones, well then go right ahead. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are. And even if we didn't color this, I think it would still be a lot of fun if you wanted to do it just with your graphite. But here we go. We are going to add color to it because that is my favorite thing. And so what I want you to do is I want you to start to think about what the color of the center of your piece is going to be. So the first couple of times I did the piece, well, the very first time I did it, I started with this beautiful amber color, and I just loved it. I thought it was so much fun to work with. But you know me, I never do the same thing twice. So the second time I did it with a really great amethyst color. So I think tonight I'm going to go with a sapphire color. So I'm going to grab this nice blue that I have here, and I'm going to grab two different blues. I've got a light blue and I've got a dark blue, and I want to talk about this just for a second. So if you've never taken class with me before, we're going to do a little color theory. So each pencil that you have is actually three colors. You have your light, you have your medium, and you have your dark. Okay. So when you're working with color, I want you to think about the amount of pressure or the amount of tension you're putting on your pencil, because that can really change the variation of your color. Now, when you're shading, if you're looking for a little bit more pop, one of the things that I like to talk about is having a darker color nearby to give you that extra pop. And so you can see that if I roll this really dark blue near that nice light turquoise, it definitely gives it a little bit more of zip, you know, gives it a little zing. Now, I want to talk about using colors that have low viscosity. So let's just say you have this really nice light color, like a yellowish kind of color. I've got my light, I've got my medium, and I've got my dark. But you can tell that that changes a little bit with the lighter color because it really needs a little extra help to give it that punch. So you can see that I've got this darker sienna color here that I've got, and I'm just gonna start to lay that in there a little bit, and you can see that that gives it a nice definition. And it starts to give the shading a little bit more power. You could even go so far as to grab an even darker brown and really allow that brown to help add a little bit of punch too. And you can see I'm getting a little bit of residue here, but not too bad. So have those things handy, and let's choose a color. Okay, so here we are. So I'm gonna turn this guy over and we're gonna blow this up. And we're just gonna start with that internal piece here. And I'm gonna do this the way that I generally do, where we're gonna start with that lighter color first. And you can see that my pencil is moving in a circular-like motion. That helps to give us a really nice misty kind of color. So I'm just going around in that circular-like motion, and you're going to see that I'm going to leave a little light source on the circle here. You can see it in that upper left-hand corner, that place where I'm not shading. Now, I'm still with that lighter color, but now I'm going to start to add a little bit of pressure to the pencil, a little bit more tension to the pencil. And you can see that I'm starting to get a really nice medium tone. It's a nice secondary tone. Okay, so I'm just going around the edge there and giving that nice secondary tone. And then finally, I'm going to go with my heaviest tension and just let that color start to show a little bit more pop, right? It's giving it a little bit of depth on the outer edges here. And I'm just going to go in there and get that to roll around as well. So there you have it, a nice little bit of depth there around the top. Now I'm going to grab that darker color that I spoke of, and I'm going to go in and add a little bit of that right along the edge. And you're going to see that that's going to start to give a little bit more electricity to the gemstone, yeah? See how lovely that is? Just by giving that a little bit of that darker color, it just really starts to pop. So go ahead, work on your gemstone, and I'll see you in a minute. Remember, take a moment to breathe, relax your shoulders away from your ears. This is the fun stuff. Okay, so I've had a chance to finish up that gemstone. Now I'm going to start to do what I call carrying color. And carrying color means you're just moving the piece or moving the color from the piece around the composition. It helps to give the eye a place to land. So I'm just going to start with these guys right in here, these nice little poke leaves that we have out here. And what I'll do is I'll start by going with that light color, and I'm going with the lightest tension on that color. I'm just starting to fill that in. I'll go over to the other side and I'll do the same exact thing. So I'm just going in, adding a little bit of that color and filling it in. Now, let's make that a little bit bigger so that you can see what I'm up to here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that secondary color, and you can see that I'm really hugging that outside edge. My pencil is working in that circular-like motion, and you'll notice that I'm leaving a little bit of light right in the center. Can you see that little light area right there? I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So this is the same exact shading that you would do with a graphite, but we're just doing it with color. So this is just giving you a new way to experiment. So I'm just coming in, filling in this area right here. And then I'm going to go for my darker pencil. And you can see that I'm really going to hug that outside edge with that darker pencil. And I'm just going to do the same thing right here. So I'm just going in, hugging that outside edge. And there you have it. That gives it such a nice glow. It gives it so much energy, which I really, really love. So you're going to go around and do the last three. So 1, 2, and 3. Take a moment to enjoy what you're doing, enjoy your colored pencils, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see that I have had the opportunity to go all the way around with these guys. And now I'm going to start to work inside these flowers. I'm going to continue to carry this color like we've been talking about before. So I'm just going to come up right here into this flower, and I'm going to start to lay down that color like we've been doing this whole time. So I'm going in with that nice blue, and I'm just laying it down really nice and light. And I'm going to go into each and every petal that I have here. And once I've gone into each and every petal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add some of that shading to it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start to come up each petal about halfway. And you can see that that pencil is still moving in that circular-like motion, going around to each and every one. You can see that I'm leaving a little bit of that lightness towards the edge, which is great. Coming in right down here as well. And I need to get into these little leaves as well. So once I've done that, I'll add a little bit of darkness into the tip of the leaves right here and over here. and a little bit of darkness into the tip of the leaves here and right here. Now right in here, I'm going to start to give a little bit of that extra tension that we've been talking about, that heavier pressure on the pencil, just to get a little bit more of that interesting shading. And you can see that that's really giving it a really nice appeal. It's making it so that it just really wants to jump off the page. So I'm going to encourage you to go all the way around and do that same thing in the next 4 petals, and I'll see you in a minute. Take a nice deep breath, let it go with a sigh, and go have fun. See you soon. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around here, and we are going to start to work now in our surrounding areas. So you can see that we've got the areas that need to be done inside of these petals right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with some lavender here, and I'm coming in really nice and light-handed, and I'm going to start to let that color make its way in, and then once I've got the light shading down, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that darker tension coming up from the bottom here. And then once I've done that medium tension, I'm going to soften up as I get towards the top. Now, we all know that the viscosity of this pencil is not very dark, so I've got a nice violet nearby that I'm going to use to give this a little bit of depth. And so I'm going to come in right here and add a little bit of that depth with the violet. And you can see that I don't have to push very hard to get that nice dark color to start to show up. So I'm going to ask you to go around to each one of your petals and just do the interior. I'll see you in a minute. So now that I've had a chance to go all the way around the petals, I'm going to start to work a little bit further out with this. So I've got my lavender pencil again, and I'm going to come into this space that's right in between where the arcing is and the outside arcs are. You can see I'm in this space right in here, starting to just bring that color right into that area. So we're carrying that color, and I'm going to go over here as well. And then once I have that, I'm going to give a little bit more of that tension right around the arc. And this is going to create the illusion of shadow. And then once I've done that, I'll grab my violet and just add a little bit of darkness right along that line, right in here and right in there. See how that starts to make that area glow? So you're going to go around now to all these areas on your piece and fill those in. I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around and done that part. So now we're going to start to go into those cruffle. Remember those? So I'm going to go in on the side that doesn't have a cruffle in it, and I'm going to add to that. So I'm just going to go in right here. Let me make this nice and large for you. I'm going to come in right here, and I'm going to add that cruffle color. So you can see that I'm just going in with that really, really nice light tension. And then towards the tip of that leaf, I'm going to add a little bit of that medium tension right in there. Now I'm going to grab that violet and put that violet in there as well, and just get it to pop, okay? So go around and do the rest of your cruffles, and I'll see you soon. So now we're going to start to make this bad boy pop a little bit. It's very, very quiet, and I love the quiet of it, but I do feel as though I want to see a little bit of energy in the piece. So I have this really pretty chartreuse color that I'm using here, and I really love the way that it looks near the purple and the blue. So I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to start to add that really beautiful light green to the piece here. And you can see that I'm going all the way up and around the top of where the cruffle is. This is where we're going to start to fill in the poke leaf and all of that kind of stuff. So we're coming in and getting all of that put down. And now I'm going to need a darker color that's just going to give me a little bit of pop, because the chartreuse, no matter what I do, it's not really going to show very much of my medium tension. So even if I'm adding a little bit of that darker tension, it really doesn't show up very well. So I'm just going to come in here and start to bring in a little bit of a darker color. So I've got this nice dark green here that I'm going to be working with, and I'm going to start to work on either side of this particular piece here. And so I'm just adding a little bit of shading on either side of this little tube that we've created. So you can see that that's starting to get a really nice glow to it. It's got that really nice kind of lemony green to it, which is a really nice contrast. It's starting to really pop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way around to each of those little tubes and fill in the area around it. I'll see you soon. All right, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around with that. I really love what this green has done to the piece. It's just brought so much energy and electricity to it. Really, really beautiful. So I have this space that is right around the gemstone here, and I really thought that I was going to bring the green into that area, but I have changed my mind. I think I'm going to go back to my purple. So I'm going to grab that purple color, that lavender, and I'm going to start to come in here and bring in that lavender all the way around the gemstone here. And you can see that I'm just being very, very loose and easy with that color. I'm not being overly careful with it. I'm just laying it down and getting it on there. You can see my pencil is working in that nice circular-like motion to give it that really nice misty kind of feel. Once I've had the opportunity to get that in, I'm going to start to focus around the gemstone itself. So I'm going to go around the gemstone and start to add a little bit of a shadow with that medium tension all the way around so that I can start to develop a little bit of three-dimensionality in the piece, right? And you can see that just by doing a little bit of that medium shading, it's already starting to appear, which is great. So now all I have to do is grab that really pretty violet color, and I'm going to come in and really lightly start around the outside edge of that gemstone just to give this a little bit of pop. And you can see that it's already starting to get that kind of glowy feeling to it just by running that darker piece around the outside edge of the gemstone. I'm just going all the way around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right back in again with that lavender and see if I can't do just a little bit of blending. And what that means is I'm just going to start to pull a little bit of that darker purple into that medium purple, just to give it a little bit more of a fuzzy kind of feel to it. I almost want it to have just that really, really soft edginess. And you can see that that has really done that just by going back over it with that lighter color. And then I can go back in with that darker color and really clean up those edges. Any places where you're still seeing white underneath, you can go in with that darker color and just kind of cancel out some of that white that you're seeing. And you can see that that really made that glow. It has a really nice feeling to it. So go ahead and finish up yours, and I will see you in a minute. So you can see that I've had a chance to finish up there, and I'm going to start to work with these little flowers that are around the outside of those tipples there. And I'm going to go back to that really pretty blue that we started out with, and I'm going to come in and start to shade those areas with that really nice light blue. So I'm getting in there, and now all I'm going to do is start to add some of that medium tension right inside of those tips right there and right in here. You don't have to do any really hard tension because this is such a small space that we're working in. So I'll do another one right over here. You can see I'm right by this guy, and all I'm doing is just filling it in right in here and right over here. And then I'll go in and I'll add a little bit of darkness right into the tips. So go ahead and finish up these two, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around with that, and now I'm going to start to add another color into the piece. And for most of you who know me, you know that I'm left-handed and that I've had a lot of trouble with graphite in the past where I end up wearing it on my hand. Most left-handers will tell you that they have that issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this really great Prismacolor pencil. This is the cool gray, and it's the 70%, and I use this in lieu of graphite. But if you are right-handed, you are more than welcome to use a graphite pencil. That's just fine. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go into each of these tubes and I'm going to shade not unlike how we normally do with our Zentangle classes, where I'm just going to let that graphite come down onto the page or that cool gray onto the page, and you can see that I'm leaving a little bit of white in the center. I'm going to blow that bad boy up for you so you can see him. And so what I'm going to do now is I'll start to add that medium tension right along the edge here. And then I'll add a little bit of that medium tension right along the edge over here. Now I'm going to start to give that some definition. So I've got a lot of nice definition right in here and right in here. And that really kind of lets that piece start to have a more metallic feel, which is what I'm going for. So you're going to go around to each one of these guys and do the very same thing that we just did right up here. Okay? All right, so once again, just going into each of these and doing the same technique that we just did right there. I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around with those. Now we're going to start to focus on our muka, and we're going to continue on with that gray. So I'm going to come into the muka right in here, and I'm going to make that nice and big for you so you can really see it. So once I've got that, I'm going to come in here and just do the same technique, right? A little bit of light coming in there, and then I'm going to go right back into that joining area and start to add that medium tension right in here. And you can see that I've left a little bit of light on the end of that muka there. So now I'm adding a little bit of that medium tension in there, and then finally I'll go in with that darker tension. And it almost starts to look like a fleur-de-lis in here, doesn't it? Which is kind of neat. So I'm going to come in and do the same thing on the other side. And get in right in here as well. Nice medium tension coming through. And there you have it. So we're going to go around to each one of those and do the very same thing. See you in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around. Now we're going to start to work with these pieces right in here, these outer edge pieces. And I'll just start with this one right here since it's right there. I'm going to blow that up for you. And what I'm going to do is I'll just start in nice and light, adding in a little bit of light on each side. And then now I'm going to add a little bit of darkness in here, just like so and just like so. And you can see that that's giving me a nice shimmer on the inside, right? So here I go again, 1 and 2, and then adding a little bit of darkness right on the inside. So you'll go all the way around your piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do those and I'll see you in a minute. Enjoy, take a nice deep breath, and have a good time. Okay, so we are right where we want to be, which is starting to work with these beautiful little petals here. I am actually working with a pen today that I haven't worked very much with. This is one of the Micron brush pens, and I absolutely have fallen in love with it. You know, I heard about it with Rick and Maria a long time ago and then completely forgot about it. So I'm bringing it back into my repertoire here. And so what we're going to do with our leaves is just this. I'm going to take this guy and blow him up for you. And I'm going to go ahead and use the tip of the brush and work all the way around that leaf. And you can see that it just fills in that whole area so nicely. That brush pen is just wonderful because when we're puddling large places, you don't want to have to sit there forever with your Micron pen puddling it in. It becomes mundane. But when you have different types of brushes that you can work with, you really can play, which is so fun. And it can be a little costly too, because if you're like me and you've never met a pen you didn't like, well, you end up having a bunch of them. But with this said, you can see that I'm going all the way around with this petal. And it's really starting to bring in an elegance to the piece, right? It's bringing gravity, which is what I love about black. Black just brings in so much beautiful gravity and gives the piece so much focus. So you can see that when I focus out there, what gravity that petal brings. So you're going to go around to all of your pieces with your puddle pen. Now, if you have a Faber-Castell Pitt pen, you could use one of those. If you have one of the Tombow watercolor brush pens, the dual pens, those are great. I also really love the Koi water brush. Those are all wonderful puddle brushes or puddle pens. And if you don't have any of those, I know I always say this at the very end, if it needs to be, grab a Sharpie. They always work. All right, so if you can, grab a better brush or a better pen and go for that one spot, or these spots all the way around here. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to go all the way around here, and now we're going to add a little bit more black into this piece here. So I'm going to grab my brush, and we're going to start to work inside of these pieces right in here. You can see I'm right in these areas. I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to make this nice and big for you so you can really see what I'm up to here. So I'm going to come in with that brush, and you can see that I am working right into those spaces here. Just getting that nice and strong there. And you can see that that starts to develop quite the gravity into the piece. I'm really enjoying black these days and putting a lot of it into my pieces. Now, if you're not keen to use black or you're not a fan of puddling, you could always go and use a different color, and that would also give a different kind of feel to the piece. It might give it more of a kaleidoscope feeling, which could always be fun. So you can see that I'm just going around into all of these pieces and adding some of that black. So you're going to go ahead and do the rest of these. So I'm going to just have you go around and do these guys right over here. Stay away from your tipple because we're not going to put it in the tipple. Okay? I'll see you in a minute. Well, okay, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty here, and we've been working our way around this piece and working our way, and it's really coming down to these last tipple right in here, and then maybe just a little bit of work inside of these petals and inside of the arcs here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to add a little bit of color into our tipple, and I'm going to do some shading just on one side of the tipple here, and I'm going to make that nice and big for you so you can see what I'm really up to here. And I'm just going to start to shade one side of that tipple, and then you can see that I'm leaving a light source right here at the top here. And I'm going to start to add some of that heavier tension right along the edge here. And then what I'll do is I'll come back in with that purple, and I'll start to give it a little bit of that soft tension with the purple. So I don't want to get too much of it in there. And then I'll give a little bit of harder tension right on that outside line. You can really see that's starting to glow there. And I'll even come up and around just a little bit to just get that to pop. You can see how that started to pop there. I'll do it one more time on the other side so that you can see it here. So I'm just going to come in, do it on the side here. Nice light tension. Then I'm going to go with a little heavier pressure right along the outside edge, leaving some of that light alone. And then I'll come in with that darker color and start to fill in some of that medium tension with that lightest tension of the darker color. And then I'll go in with that dark tension right along that outside line and come right back in again. You can see that that just gives that such a pop. So go around and do your tipples, and I'll see you in a minute. Now I'm really starting to get excited because we are getting close to finishing this up, and I love where this is going. I just love all that purple, and the lavender is just so soft and cooling, but next to that really pretty bright yellow, I think it's so gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with some of my gray, and I'm just going to treat it the same way as I treated it in here, right in here. So I'm just going to come into this area, and let's blow that up a little bit. So I'm just going to come in halfway, add a little bit of that darkness right in here and right in here. Same thing right over here, a little bit of that darkness right on the edges, leaving the light in the center and giving it a little bit of darkness, a little bit of darkness. So we're going to go all the way around the piece doing that very same thing. So you'll go up here, and down in here with that gray. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so for that final little pop, what we're going to do is we're going to come in around these leaves in here, and we're going to add some of that green from the inside and bring it around to the outside. So you can see that I'm just going to go into those borders there and start to add a little bit of that green into the corner of the piece, and you can see that's just going to bring so much electricity into it. Now, because we know that the chartreuse is not going to give me any kind of depth, I'm going to grab that dark green again, and I'm just going to come into the bottom of the leaf here and start to do some of that medium tension right in here. And once I get up to the top, I'm going to leave it alone. Now I'm going to add some of that extra heavy tension right down at the bottom, just to give this a little bit of gravity in here. Same thing over here. Just going to come in, give it a little bit of that nice dark green, leaving a little bit of light up at the tip. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of that heavier tension right in at the bottom. Just really making that whole leaf kind of pop off, which is so pretty. So you're going to go around to all of your leaves and do the same thing. I'll see you soon. So you can see that I've had a chance to finish up, and I'm really happy with the way this piece came out. So much electricity, and I love the black. The gravity of that is just so enticing, so really fun. I had an opportunity to put my little initial in right in here. You can see I hit it right in that little corner. Putting your initial in is kind of a way of completing the piece, or as I like to say, completing your meditation, so that every time you look at this piece, you're going to think about how you took care of yourself and how you did something that gave you joy. That's really what Zentangle is all about. So if you enjoyed the video today, please give us a thumbs up on our YouTube video or leave us a nice review. We are trying to boost our online presence so more people can find out about us. And if you're interested in anything Tangled Yogi related, you can go to tangledyogi.com. We have a shop there where you can pick up tiles and easels and all sorts of good things. And we also have our list of upcoming classes as well. So thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi. Until we tangle again, I'll see you soon.